Okay, so I'm going to show you how this should work in your processing ability should be when looking through these articles and finding the pros and cons. So first off, I've provided you the link. All you have to do is click on that link, and when you do, a little article should show up. Now, the very first thing you should look at is the title, and if the title is "The Binge Watching Addiction," this word right here is usually not a great word, meaning it has good connotation, or is a positive meaning. So if binge watching is addicting, I'm probably going to find more cons in this article than pros. So as I'm going through, I'm not going to read the whole thing in entirety, word for word, but I do want you to know in these articles, a lot of times they're introducing the topic. So therefore, you're not going to find pros and cons on the first couple paragraphs. That's usually. As I'm scanning through, I noticed that it talks about Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Video. This is just telling me ways you can binge watch shows. So I don't really need to find anything here. So as I'm scrolling in this first page, I noticed this tiny little sentence right off the bat. It says binge watching is becoming a harmful addiction and people need to stop. Well, this is the claim. This is how they believe. So if they are saying it's harmful and it needs to stop, like I said previously, based on the title, you're probably going to find a lot more cons. Okay. So as I keep going, the next paragraph, the very first thing I see is a University of Texas study found that binge watchers were more likely to be depressed, lonely, and have less self control than those who do not binge watch. So you'll notice in the previous slide before I'm showing you this that I told you you cannot copy and paste information. Okay, so in your own words, what is this first sentence saying and how can I add it to my chart here? I would simply, let me see back here, more likely to be depressed and have less self control. So I will type in people who binge watch, whoops, are more likely to be depressed and have less self control. Okay. So that's all you would type in there. Then I'm going to go back and find some more. Okay. Um, I see right here binge watching actually worsened stressful feelings like regret, guilt, and personal failure. And then these feelings were tied to a sense of wasted time and inactivity. So that in itself, right there, is another one I could put here. Okay. People are more stressed. And basically, what that sentence was saying is that binge watching ends up being a waste of time. Have you ever sat and watched a show for hours at a time and then been like, man, I just wasted 2 hours of my time? I do that quite often, and that probably needs to stop. So people are more stressed and feel like it is a waste of time. I would type that in. Okay. So you will do the same thing for the rest of these articles, for source 2, for source 3. In just a minute after we're done watching this video, you are going to have some time to work on this one by yourself, and then we'll talk about it in small group and then maybe even work on source number 3 here so that we have as much information as possible. Okay, so that's what you're going to be doing, looking through and finding those pros and cons. Because this is very con heavy, you probably won't find a lot of pros, but don't forget with those counterclaims, you want to look for those starters like just scrolling through. The other side might argue. Okay, so if we're mainly against it, this paragraph is probably going to tell us why binge watching isn't such a harmful addiction. Okay. So skimming and scanning through, taking your time, finding those reasons, adding them to your chart is what you will be doing today.